Hi guys, you're back here with Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we're going to talk about something really fun. Something that I think that all of you use, but maybe don't know that you're using it, or just like have used and haven't really applied it to witchcraft maybe, because for a long time I didn't, until I really started reading into these books and finding out all the things you can use that aren't like super conventional or normal ingredients in witchcraft. So today we're talking about coconuts. And I'm not going to do clickbait because I'm not that kind of person, but that would be funny. So yeah, coconuts. We're going to talk about those. This is your normal American, like a North American brown coconut is I think what they call it. This isn't the kind that I like to eat very much, but this is the kind that has like really rad shells for witchcraft, in my opinion. So, and I'll tell you why. But the kind that I like to eat are the young Thai coconuts. So if we're talking about the kitchen Wicca, which we will, I'll be referring to that in my opinion and what I like as the young Thai coconuts. But for the shells and what I'm going to show you are my ideas to do with those, it'll be for these, what did I call them, North American brown coconuts? I think that's what they're called. I'm just not 1,000% sure. But these are a lot thicker, they're a lot more woody. Those young Thai coconuts, they come in like, well, usually they're hacked for you, but they have like the husk on the outside, but the green part hacked off. That's what I'm talking about with the young Thai coconuts. And then these are the ones that in America you just see in the normal grocery stores, just kind of chilling. So yeah, totally different taste. And when you're talking about especially like raw foods, if you're into that, and you just think like get a coconut, this is not usually what they're talking about in raw foods. I'll just say that because I thought that originally. No. So the first book that we're going to read out of, we'll do the book and then we'll do the things. Yeah, we'll do it that way. So the first book that we're going to read out of is Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia for Magical Herbs. And coconut doesn't have a ton in here, but the information that it gives, you can apply it in your own ways, which I like. Like honestly, if Scott just says it's for these three things, you kind of have to figure it out on your own. Now that's what I want you to do anyway, and that's what most of the witches are suggesting we do anyway, what I've learned from all different generations, old, mid, and young, and younger than me. You guys, I'm learning from witches that are so much younger than me, that have been doing it for 10 years, and that's so amazing. Like, I think that's great. So, let's hear what Scott has to say, and then we'll bring up, like, some thoughts along the way. So, gender is feminine. I get that. It's kind of like an eggshell. It's yeah, seems feminine. Planet the moon. Guys, coconuts are right up there on the top of the tree being blessed by the sunlight and the moonlight night after night over and over. So let's think about that. Element water. They're usually right next to a water source, right? Desert islands, any tropical place. If you're on a desert island and all you had is coconuts, you do fine. Okay, powers. Purification, protection, and chastity. Now, chastity makes sense a lot, and I'm not going to go into it because I'm going to try and keep this PG-13 for the pagans and amino apps. But just look up that word and then see how you would imagine what that means. And then protection. You guys, it takes nails to get into these holes. So this is so protective. This is more protective than an oyster shell. This is more protective, almost as more protective as an eggshell, but if you think about it, you can't push into an eggshell with just one finger. If you try that with no other finger and just in your palm, you cannot even with a thumb push into an eggshell. So those are quite strong as well. And check out my eggshell videos if you haven't. I have a couple on them. Coconut shells are absolutely divine. They are so hard, so protective, and I think like you could use it as a weapon if you were a single woman and you were just like had a coconut shell or a coconut. I mean, and that would be a very non-violent way of protecting yourself in your home. So coconuts. You can do lots of things with them. You can play, if you were a 5 or 6 year old, you could play horses with them. They kind of sound like that's totally fun. I used to do that when I was a little kid when we used to open up coconuts. Anyway, so yes, now let's talk about the, so yeah, and then purification. I'm trying to think to myself right now why that would be purifying. I know that like coconut oil is so reviving and coconut water is so reviving for your body. So yeah, it feels like that could really replenish and purify you in a magical way, as well as, you know, the way that it works physically inside of your body. Excellent. Now, magical uses. Coconut has long been used in chastity spells, as well as in protection rituals. A coconut can be halved, drained of its juice, and filled with appropriate protective herbs and sealed shut, then buried to protect your property. So, you cut open these 2 shells, you cut them in half. You either tie a bunch of knot magic around this after you put your protective herbs inside, right? Yeah. And I would take, you know, if I've got it in my drawer, I would take friendship bracelet string like this, and it just turns out I pulled out purple because that's what I was last using, because it's the color of alchemy, and it's the last color video I did. And more than this though, and knot it around like macrame after you get your protective herbs in there. Oh, you could put a poppet in there with those protective herbs. You could put, this is so excellent, you guys. So do you understand? A coconut can be halved, drained of its juice and fruit, filled with an appropriate protective herb and sealed shut, then buried to protect your property. So you're putting the protective herbs in. These shells are so protective, like we talked about. You're tying in your knot magic all around that shell to knot it shut with your intention in every single knot, okay? Look into knot magic. I don't know enough about it yet because I'm just learning into it, but I know enough intuitively to know that when you tie something, you know, when you're pulling and you're forcing on that, you're forcing that intention into that knot. So, you know, take of that what you will, and then bury it to protect your property. So you're thinking that whole time you're tying it, you know, whether you have had a burglar recently and you're afraid they might come back, or the neighborhood is getting burgled and you don't want to be the next one. I would also throw a little snake skin in there for invisibility if you were the next one to potentially be burgled and you didn't want to be a product of that cause of misdemeanor of youth. So I've got some interesting situations going on in my own. I'm definitely going to be doing this up, and I feel like I don't plan out these videos exactly, you guys. I just do what I feel, and I feel like everything that I pop upon this book, because I go, oh, I can do coconut because I have these coconut shells. Rad. I'm super excited about that. That'll be brilliant. I feel like I stumble on them because I'm meant to do this for me. And then I've got comments from you guys that, both on the Pagans and Witches Amino app and on YouTube, that, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about doing this spell. I can't believe you put this out. I was literally thinking about this morning. And I said, girl, that is exactly like the law of attraction. That is exactly the universe connecting all of us. Because we're connected in this channel, and now we're connected, we're family. So we're all like doing these things intuitively for each other. It's such a brilliant thing. I really love it. So just kind of talking about how cool that was. And I think I finished all of that. Oh no, I didn't. Hang a whole coconut in your home for protection. Okay, so if you had a whole coconut that you got from the store, you could do some knot magic around the whole thing into like a macrame. And if you don't know what macrame is, look into it. It's tying hemp twine around something and holding it and then stringing it from a hook. Okay, it's like a big 60s and 70s things. They did that with hemp. You have your protective herbs in here, macrame, you know, in purple or whatever color you wanted to really have that protection for your home. hold it up there and yeah, it just says in the home. So anywhere you want, really, guys. So now we are on to the coconut page from this book, The Wicca in the Kitchen, Scott Cunningham. And this is what he says about coconut. Planet the moon, element water, same here, of course, same author. Energies, spirituality, psychic awareness, and purification. So he didn't talk about spirituality and psychic awareness in the other book, and that's because he wasn't talking about ingesting it in the other book. He was talking about using it for spells, I think, only. Because why would an author change one thought to another? But for purification, it works for both. So when we're talking about Wicca in the kitchen, and we're talking about eating it, ingesting it, okay, internalizing this herb, or this fruit, or this vegetable, it's so much different on how it works magically, and I think that that's what Scott's saying. So, energies, spirituality, psychic awareness, purification. Lore. Love that there's lore in this book. Love that there's lore in this book. The coconut is one of the world's most useful trees. As many as 300 products can be made from the fruit, husk, flower stalks, leaves, and trunk. Found in tropical areas around the world, it was probably spread from its current unknown place of origin by ocean currents and the migration of humans. In ancient Hawaii, coconut was offered to many deities, including Cain. Coconut groves are worshipped as spiritual places linked with the divine. That's really cool. I never heard that before. I'm reading from this for the first time right now. Throughout the Pacific, Haina, goddess of the moon, is linked to the creation of the original coconut. That's fantastic information as well. Now we're on to magical uses. This white round nut would naturally have lunar symbolism. Totally makes sense. You know? Full moon, waxing or waning a half moon, new moon, you know. Excellent. Where am I? This white round nut would naturally have lunar symbolism. With all that implies moistness, love, and spirituality. Eat fresh coconut before or during rituals designed to boost your spiritual awareness. Excellent. It is also a fine psychic awareness food. Coconut is also useful for inner purification if eaten with the proper visualization. Okay, so really be focused on your meditations. Know what you're going in for. Know what you're going to do. Know what your plan is mentally. Eat some coconut. Before that starts to digest, I would go straight into meditation, because you don't really want to eat and go into meditation. I've researched loads on meditation way before witchcraft. I mean, I've been into meditation for 10 years before witchcraft, and I still have a struggle with it. You know, it's not for everybody, but it is for everybody. Like, everybody should be doing it, but it's not easy for everybody. So those are my thoughts. Coconut, good for meditation. Eat it right before. Go into meditation before your stomach starts to really gurgle. That's my advice. Coconut is, whole coconuts are kept in the kitchen for power. So if you had a bowl of whole fresh coconuts, that would be a really powerful element to your kitchen, to your home. Fresh coconut is best for magical and culinary purposes, but the shredded packaged kind will do in a pinch. Yeah, so other ways that you can use coconut when it's like not fresh is this raw coconut butter. Again, it's raw. It's never taken above a temperature, it's controversial on the temperature, but it's never usually over 105 degrees, and then it will keep all of its medicinal physical benefits and magical qualities in there. Magical, I don't know if people talk about that, but man, if it takes away the medicinal and the health properties, why wouldn't it take away the magical properties if you cooked something? I don't know. These are just my thoughts. Let me know how you feel on them in the comments, guys. And it's so cool because let me just say that we all like drink coconut water, I'm hoping. You can survive on this stuff. If that's all you had, you would be okay again in a desert island. And also coconut oil has 5% SPF in it naturally, with no horrific chemicals connected to it. So folks, if you put coconut oil on your skin, and mine's in a liquid form because we're in a heat wave in Seattle over here, and if it's below 75 degrees, this will be, it will just like white, almost coconut meat, to be quite honest, when this solidifies. But it becomes a liquid over 75 degrees. And I get that organic, and you can put that on your skin outside of the shower and just cover your body with that. Wouldn't that be so protective? I mean, we've been doing it. It's so popular right now to use coconut oil to pull out of your mouth, to cleanse your feet, to put on your body out of the shower. Wow. We're all doing this amazing, magical witchcraft, and maybe just not knowing it. So, I've got to talk about this, I've got to talk about this, but I want to talk about this as well. So, I think that if you were going to have coconuts, you'd be like on a desert island or something. Like, they just remind me of, I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts, doodle-doo, right? So if you were out there, there would be pearls. So I've got like my Betty Rebel pearls up there, and this beautiful dress. And I think mannequins inspired me from, I'm not going to say it, but you guys can say it in the comments and I'll tell you if you're right, that late 80s, early 90s sitcom that was out for those of us who were, like it was on TGIF, and one of the children's name was DJ, but the uncle lived downstairs and had mannequins, okay? So, funnily enough, like, I lived with my older brother when I was trying to get started, and I was that person, like, but I was the aunt that had mannequins that lived downstairs. It was kind of weird, you know, like, in that show, and you know who I'm talking about, Stephanie DJ, okay? So, this is probably one of the influence that's carried through to me on why I dress that mannequin every day or every other day. Like, I don't feel this is spirited, I just dress him for the videos so that I can, like, show myself through that. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about that and, like, why I think I'm attracted to mannequins. And then I want to talk about if we're applying coconut oil to our body and we're drinking it and applying it to the inside of our body, we're getting it from the inside and the outside, okay, from the skin level in and from the intern level out, which is amazing. So adding these things to your shopping list, I highly suggest, for protective, for spirituality, psychic awareness, and the things that we mentioned from Scotty's Magical Herb book. Now, we'll talk about making, because one of my comments asked about if you could make a carrier oil and then put essential oils in, because essential oils are quite expensive. 1000%, absolutely. You guys, if you're dabbing this on your skin, you just want to put a couple of drops, because especially if it's a non-volatile oil, a non-citrus oil, okay? So in here I put maybe 20 drops of essential oil, and this is just a small jar. It says 15 on the bottom, but they never say, like, the quantity. Like, why don't they say pint or quart or whatever? That bothers me. You think that they would have figured that out by now. But anyway, you could add some more protective things into it. And the ones that I had on my shelf, and I don't have a ton of essential oils on my shelf. I have probably more resins and herbs and things like that. But rosemary and frankincense, both would be fantastic to add to a carrier coconut oil to make something super protective from the outside in, okay? And that means like guarding yourself from psychic predators, from emotional vampires, from people that prey on empaths, things like that. Like, if you're an empath and you can understand that, because I am, and you read, and you don't even need to hear people's words, you just see their emotions and the way their face changes, and you start to change your being because you're, you know, afraid of that. This would be a great thing to like keep you protected from those people. Also, just to, it seems like to me that coconut oil would fulfill you so much, it could keep you really confident. Okay, so now I want to talk about the last thing that I creatively use it for. I put my little change dollar bills and monies in here, and this is like a spell in a sense to protect my monies, okay? I want to keep my monies like coming back to me all the time, so I just throw tons and tons and tons of change in here, and that's just a natural thing I've been doing on my altar. And I've been keeping these around just for like change jars at the laundry, you know, in the kitchen, in the living room, wherever. They just look cool, but just remember that's going to protect your money, and in magics it's going to bring it back to you. So I hope that we like got a lot accomplished in this video. I know that I told a couple stories. I hope that you guys enjoyed them. I hope that things are just like becoming really fantastic on this channel, and we're growing a really good family, and I'm super happy about it. Have a really good day, you guys. Thanks for joining me on the coconut video, and I want to hear all the things you have to say about coconuts.